Episode 27. Han Li had thought it through. Hey, he sighed, gave a slight shake of his head and said no more. He simply gestured a few times with the short sword in his hand toward his opponent, making his position perfectly clear.
Dr. Mo's temples throbbed. Seeing Han Li ignore his pleas and instead brandish his weapon in challenge, he could no longer contain his rage.
You don't know what's good for you. 1,000 miles in a single step.
Then, in a flash, he was just a few steps away from Han Li. Han Li's face paled with alarm. He hastily stumbled back 2 paces to put some distance between them, then raised his short sword before him, whirling it into a small, shimmering shield of cold light to block Dr. Mo's path.
It seems he's completely forgotten the lesson he learned from their last fight. Dr. Mo gave a cold, inward laugh. He split his palms apart, sending them on 2 separate paths to strike at Han Li. The chilling sword light was relentless. Just as the 2 silver hands were about to pierce through its radiance, a light chuckle suddenly came from the opposite side. Dr. Mo's heart skipped a beat, and he unconsciously slowed his advance, his movements growing sluggish. Then he heard another icy sentence.
Now you're the one who's truly fallen for the trap. Take a look at the short sword in my hand.
Dr. Mo's gaze was drawn to the short sword. He saw that his opponent had stopped his fluid motions and now held a bizarre stance. His upper body leaned back slightly. The single short sword held level at his waist. His lower body was a taut, coiled bow step, ready to explode into action.
His entire body had taken on the strange posture of someone drawing a bow to shoot an arrow.
The short sword he just mentioned, aside from having a faint bluish glint, there's nothing unusual about it at all. What's the point of this now? Does he think that striking a ridiculous pose, combined with a bit of trickery and deceit, is enough to rattle my focus and give him an opening?
At this thought, Dr. Mo couldn't help but feel a bit amused and was about to mock his opponent with a few words. But then he suddenly saw Han Li lunge forward, transforming into a sharp arrow that shot across the gap like a bolt from a powerful bow.
The sheer speed of the attack, surprised, made even Dr. Mo's expression change.
Dr. Mo hastily brought his separated hands together, intending to clamp the blade between his palms. But the opponent's short sword flickered, multiplying into a dozen identical, shimmering blades that thrust at him from all directions.
Using such flashy, impractical moves in front of a master like me, that's just asking for death. I can spot the real blade in an instant.
So he widened his eyes, pinpointing the true sword's approach. Just as they were about to clash, Han Li twisted his blade ever so slightly, tilting its angle by a hair. But to Dr. Mo's eyes, surprise was nothing short of cataclysmic. Dr. Mo saw a flash of light before his eyes as a dozen or more dazzling white orbs suddenly bloomed into existence. Their intense, unshielded brilliance seared directly into his vision.
Not good.
Dr. Mo hastily stumbled backward and snapped his eyes shut. But it was too late. Roar! A wave of heat washed over his eyes, followed by a sharp, stinging pain. Tears began to stream down his face uncontrollably. He didn't bother wiping his tears. Gritting his teeth against the pain, he forced his eyes open and peered out, but all he saw was a vast, blinding white.
He couldn't even make out distinct objects. Their very outlines had become ghostly and indistinct. He was both shocked and furious, deeply regretting that he had fallen for the enemy's trick once again. But Dr. Mo was, after all, a seasoned veteran. He kept backing away, putting distance between them to buy time, while simultaneously withdrawing his palms and waving them frantically before him. The impervious demonic silver hand shielded the vital points of his upper body. Dr. Mo had long since cast aside his initial contempt. This fight with Han Li was every bit as dangerous as the life-or-death struggles he'd faced against formidable foes in his youth. Though he couldn't see his opponent's movements, Dr. Mo pricked up his ears, listening intently to discern his next action from the sound.
He vaguely saw a figure dart in front of him. Then, a sharp whistle laced with a biting chill shot straight toward him.
His technique is still rather amateurish. If he'd stayed hidden and ambushed me, I might have actually been concerned. But to attack so brazenly from the front, what's there to fear? My skill in discerning sounds on the wind has long been perfected. Forget a short sword's thrust. Even the whisper of a slender embroidery needle, I'd hear it clear as day.
Dr. Mo heard it clearly, but he deliberately slowed his hand, leaving a tiny opening in his defense. Sure enough, the sneak attack instantly changed direction, slipping through the opening and shooting straight for his throat. Dr. Mo suddenly struck.
He snatched the blade in a flash, gripping it with an iron hold, utterly unafraid of its razor-sharp edge. Realizing the danger, the opponent yanked desperately on the dagger, trying to pull it back. But under the control of the demonic silver hand, it was futile.
A futile effort.
Dr. Mo felt a surge of satisfaction, but he didn't dare let his guard down for a second. He couldn't wait for his vision to clear. With a single hand, he poured all his strength into a sudden, violent pull on the short sword, trying to yank Han Li over to his side by sheer force.
Yet, it felt weightless in his hand, as if it were nothing at all.
I'm still gripping the blade, so why does it suddenly feel so weightless? Even if he let go, it shouldn't feel this light.
Before Dr. Mo could figure out what was happening, a sharp, air-rending shriek erupted inches from his throat. Something thin and pointed was stabbing toward him at an impossible speed.
The force of the piercing attack had already made his Adam's apple sting.
He had no time to think. His body reacted on pure instinct, his head jerking to one side as he desperately twisted his torso. His neck contorted at an impossible angle, straining to evade the lethal strike. Dr. Mo felt a sudden chill on his neck. The sharp object had just grazed past his nape, barely scraping the skin and causing no serious harm. Having dodged the attack, Dr. Mo feared his opponent had more moves in store. Without a second thought, he threw himself to the ground, rolling away like a lazy donkey to put distance between himself and Han Li. Only then did he dare to stand back up. Dr. Mo felt a searing pain on his neck. He touched the wound, his fingers coming away wet with blood. He quickly sealed the nearby blood vessels, finally stopping the bleeding.
That last strike, I should never have been able to dodge it. Yet somehow, by some stroke of fate, I managed to escape unscathed.
With that thought, Dr. Mo couldn't help but look up at Han Li. It was only then he realized his vision had returned to normal.
Han Li glared at Dr. Mo, his face a mask of bitter resentment, clearly furious that his opponent had escaped death once again.
In his hand, he held a strange weapon about an inch long. It looked like an incredibly short spike, yet its handle was still the original sword hilt. The whole thing seemed bizarre, and it was stained with blood, the very weapon that had wounded Dr. Mo.
Dr. Mo's expression was icy, his eyes blazing with fury, ready to erupt.
But then he felt something else in his right hand. He looked down and saw a hiltless blade. Picking it up for a closer look, he realized it was hollow. The size and shape of the cavity perfectly matched the hidden spike. This blade was nothing more than a hollow sheath, a simple decoy to hide the spike within.
So that's why he was so insistent on keeping the door open. He must have planned to use the sunlight's reflection to ambush me even back then. For someone so young to be this thorough, to lay such a sinister and vicious trap. The depth of his scheming is completely at odds with his age and experience. Could he truly be a born prodigy, a reincarnated genius?
Dr. Mo turned it over and over in his mind. The more he thought about it, the more terrified he became, a cold sweat breaking out all over his body. After this sitback, Dr. Mo's weariness of Han Li grew even stronger. He faced Han Li with extreme caution, and for the moment dared not make another rash move. For reasons unknown, Han Li simply stared back at Dr. Mo, making no move to attack. For a moment, the two of them just stood there, staring each other down. After a moment of awkward silence, Han Li suddenly spoke up.
Elder Mo, let's call a truce. How about I surrender?
Surrender? What kind of scheme are you plotting? Don't think for a second I believe that nonsense. If you wanted to surrender, you could have done it from the start. Why wait until we fought to the death to pull a stunt like this?
Han Li looked at Dr. Mo, smiling but saying nothing, as if tacitly accepting the accusation. The two of them fell into a standoff once more. A moment later, Dr. Mo seemed to have thought of something utterly ridiculous. He suddenly burst into loud, unrestrained laughter, so hearty that tears welled up in the corners of his eyes.
How amusing. I actually forgot something so important. I actually started fighting you head on.
Elder Mo, don't you think we've wasted enough time already? It's time to end this.